All right, Slams and Jams. I am Bombshell Billy.
I am Eddie Carpenter.
And this week, we're talking about how it all got... Whoa, look at you, fella.
Got my nature boy drip going.
You look like a snack. A gold. He's got a golden suit on. That's all I got. I don't want to get flagged.
I don't have much either.
We're going to talk about how it all got started. Slams and Jams, wrestling and rock and roll. So we're going to talk about how it got started for us, how we fell in love with pro wrestling and how we fell in love with music, rock and roll, how it all got started. What do you want to start with?
Oof, that's a tough one. You know what? We've talked a lot about wrestling. Let's go down the other path. Let's talk about some rock and roll.
Let's go down that path, shall we? Shall we? What you got?
Well,
You know, hold on. Hold that thought. Sorry to interrupt, but I would like to maybe have a bevy for this. We're going to talk about the old times, talk about how it all got started.
All right.
Let's talk about...
I'm down for that. Just happen to have me a nice glass right here.
My lovely Lovey found this at a store recently, and she said, "Oh, look what I got for us to drink tonight." I'm like, "Ooh, I'm going to save that for our next show." And she's like, "What?" I said, "We're going to drink it tonight." I'm like, "Oh, we'll buy another one. Don't worry." Found one at Price Chopper, by the way, so thank God, because they actually have them.
Saved you.
Seagram's Escapes Spiked WWE Rumble Punch. Spiked Punch.
I'm excited for it.
I'm hoping Vince McMahon had nothing to do with making this, but or Brock. So we're gonna do a little of this to wet our
what?
Natural lemon, strawberry, watermelon, and guava flavors, and artificial sweetener.
Did you just gag at watermelon?
Anything that's not actual watermelon, anything watermelon flavor, watch me close. It's gross. Sorry.
A little bit of a hot take there.
Same thing with pickles.
Oh, I hate pickles.
I love pickles.
Oh.
Anything pickle flavored other than pickles, other than flavored pickles, meaning pickles.
Yeah.
You don't like pickles at all?
I'm an oddity. Like, yeah, I'll get booed out of a room if I tell people I don't like pickles. So I hope you don't tune out of our podcast because I don't like pickles.
Well, you know,
I have good reason.
We were doing a good podcast here, but now I feel as though we're in a pickle. I'll give you the first pour, Pickle Boy.
Okay. Don't ever call me that again.
That was my nickname for him when I first met him. Hey there, Pickle Boy. He was wearing that suit.
We won't talk about why.
Oh, that's why you don't like pickles.
Nah, I told you I had good reason.
Let me reach back here. Hold on, let me get this one here for Nasty Nick.
Slick Nick.
Slick Nick. You're going to have to come up and get it here, fella. Here you go. Oh, the lights, the camera, the action. He's dropping. Look at that. He smelled it and he's stumbling. Let me just reach back here and grab a...
Oh, what do you got there?
Hold on. I got to grab a... I gotta grab a cup right here, if you will. Let me tell you something. Funky like a monkey.
Pour yourself a tall one.
A tall one, yeah. For later. Can you hold that for a second?
Beautiful, daddy. Beautiful.
Think of, if you will. All right.
Why do you put the can in the middle so the camera can see?
Put my can in the middle. What?
Okay. That is not centered at all. But
How about
okay.
now, fella?
No, that was way worse.
Whatever.
There you go.
Slams and Jams with my brother, with my boy. Here we go. We do taste tests on here too, by the way. It's punchy. It's not like anything to write home about.
I feel like I'm at the prom.
Hold on. I'm getting a little Iron Sheik sweat.
Did you? Like it's a fine wine. Are we supposed to spit this out?
I almost did when you said, "Did you just?" just cocked your head. You're like, did you just? I'm like, mouthful. Yeah, I did. It didn't help. But it's, here's my. I'll go first. Here's my review. It's awful.
Yeah, it's. I'm tasting chocolate.
What?
It's,
Is it sexual
shouldn't.
chocolate?
It's.
Wait, that's not even your hand holding that. If you know, you know.
I don't know how you would describe that, but it's not good.
Well, you just described it. Not good.
Like an accident happened at the Seagram's plant. Frank,
Right.
Billy just dropped all this crap in there.
You know what it
we'll
is?
put a WWE label on it and sell it to the masses.
They'll buy anything, WWE. Case in point. You know how, I don't know why it took them so long. You know how that we're totally off topic, but we'll get back there. Because I've eaten pretzels all my life. You know how pretzel companies make pretzels? Mm-hmm. And why did it take them decades to finally start making pretzel
bites?
pieces?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with all these broken pretzels? I know. Here's a genius idea. Let's put them in a bag and sell them as broken pretzels. Okay.
Took them a long time, though.
And now what happens when you bite into like a sourdough pretzel? Oh, these are good. Oh, it falls apart, gets all over. Now you don't have to worry about it. Now you can, they're already bitten open. They're probably in the factory going.
That's how they manufacture them now.
They just hang their head over a bowl. They're like. P.S. I want that job.
All right. How much do you got left in yours?
A little bit.
All right. Let's slam these.
Let's jam them. You slam them. I'll jam them. Here we go. Did you just...
No.
I'm going to set right here. Let me tell you something right here. My sweet. I'm going to set this right here next to my sweet sapphire, if you will.
Not sponsored, by the way.
Not sponsored by anybody.
If you couldn't tell by us saying it tasted like crap.
Yeah, if we were sponsored by this, we wouldn't be saying it tasted like ass, if you will. If you will, and I won't.
I don't taste any of these flavors.
No. Does it say ass and like? Is there at least an asterisk? Maybe that was a hint.
Artificial sweetener is.
Oh, artificial sweetener. That's it.
Ass official sweetener.
Brock B. Anyways, in the beginning, how we started. Music. You go.
Okay. So my brother growing up, he had a big stereo system, the decks, you know.
Your brother Donald.
My brother Donald. He had the dual tape decks, the receiver, the record player. Years later, get a CD player.
What's the age difference between you and Don?
About 10 years.
Okay.
It used to annoy me to no end how loud he played his music. I was, as a kid, like, not really into it. And then one Christmas, I went to my grandmother's house. And my uncle had bought him Kiss Alive 2 vinyl, and he set it on the kitchen table. And me and my cousins would go upstairs and play, or we'd go down the basement and run around down there and play. But I kept finding myself going back to the kitchen to look at Gene Simmons on the cover of this and go like, what the hell is this? Like, I was terrified, but at the same time, I was mesmerized by it.
Yep.
And I kept catching myself do it. And you know, like, that's kind of like something that happens to you throughout life. You keep finding yourself going back to something and going like, maybe I like this. Maybe this is something. So I asked him about it. I think maybe it was probably just a few short days later. And he played. I think I couldn't even tell you what song he probably played for me. I'd ascertain, but it's probably Detroit Rock City.
That's the opening. That's the opening song on Kiss Alive 2.
And I was just like, all right. He's showing me pictures, magazines, posters, different albums, and I'm like, tell me more. And I got so into them that I would take my dad's construction materials that probably cost hundreds of dollars. I'd probably cost my father, and make cutout guitars.
Nice.
And me and my next door neighbor Bruce would have Kiss concerts in the backyard. And I remember him getting so mad because I took the styrofoam.
Holy crap! You were friends with Bruce Kulick?
Yeah, well, you know, this is years before.
He went on to actually be
his
in Kiss.
brother did first, but we'll talk about that another time. But we had my dad had these styrofoam boards that were they use them for siding, for houses. And they're pretty expensive. Nowadays I think they're like $60 a sheet, maybe $70 a sheet. Back then they were probably 30. But I took 4 of them and cut the Kiss letters out of them,
Dude.
and we put them on the back of his porch.
Dude.
And we went up with our fake guitars and
So good.
we played Destroyer and just had these like Kiss concerts, pretending we were in front of thousands of people.
Amazing.
Yeah, when he saw that, he wasn't very happy with us. But that's how I got into music originally.
I think it's amazing.
Yeah. That was my first venture into music, and how
That's
I
awesome.
can blame it all on Donnie.
So I have a totally different. Now we're talking about music. Or we're talking about rock and roll.
I'm
gonna.
We're talking music. It's a
gonna-
totally different path. But I was talking rock and roll.
I'm gonna start with music a little bit, and then I'm gonna take a sharp turn into rock and roll.
Okay.
The first concert I ever went to. You sitting down? Never mind. You're sitting down. Charlie Pride. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Charlie Pride was the first ever African American country artist.
Really?
Yep.
Where-
You hear the song "Kiss an Angel, Good Morning"?
Yes, I have.
Charlie Pride.
Where did
So
you
you-
see Charlie Pride?
For a free concert at the State Fair. My Aunt Kate took me there, and I was like,
She was
Oh.
a fan, obviously.
she was a fan, or we were just at the fair, but it was my first ever. I was like a wee little. I was like this big, this wide. Look at the proportions. This big,
Yes.
this wide.
Were you a turtle?
Pretty much.
I will say, just to fact check, Charlie Pride was not the first black country artist, but he was the first to have mainstream success. But he was not the first.
Okay, I don't know if Darius Rucker thinks he's Hulk Hogan, but
Maybe the
Charlie
first
Pride was the first.
It doesn't say. I'm just.
Maybe the first in Syracuse?
It's my job back here to fact check.
No, he wasn't from Syracuse.
Oh. I meant to perform.
Okay, fact checker. Who is the first African American country artist?
Let's see.
If you say Darius Rucker, I'm
He's
flying body
not
pressing
even
you.
a part of this.
Don't worry about it.
DeFord Bailey, it says. I don't know who that is. But it has a bunch of other like.
Now, DeFord Bailey was attacked in the back. He's taken out. He's taken out of the match.
Yeah,
It's
they
Charlie
replaced
Pride.
her.
It's Charlie Pride.
Yeah, it lists a bunch of people, but it does say Charlie was the first mainstream, the one who got success pretty much.
Anyways, DeFord Bailey didn't have like a hit song, "Kiss an Angel, Good Morning." So, so I saw that at the fair. I was like, I don't know what it was called, Miller Court, maybe it was called back then. That was my first introduction to live music, and I was like, this is pretty cool. Hold on one second. I didn't want to do this, but I'm gonna dab my forehead here because there we go.
That's the suit.
It's the suit. It's making me so.
You're getting so nostalgic. You started crying on your forehead.
Hold on. Let me just do it again. Hold on. Console me.
It'll be okay.
Okay. Yeah. I'm still wiping my eyes.
Okay.
Okay. There we go. There we go. I cry backwards. My tears run up instead of down. Anyways, Charlie Pride was my first introduction to live music, but then I'm gonna go right back around. It's gonna entwine with your story. My Aunt Sue, my mother's youngest sister, she lived with us for a while, and she introduced me to Kiss. She had all the Kiss albums, and you mentioned Kiss Alive 2. First of all, my favorite Kiss album ever. Second of all, just recently I saw someone posted our good buddy Joe Altier, who we're going to eventually down the line, we've already got confirmation, we're going to actually interview him for our show. He put up a post that said, what scared you the most as a child? And one of the responses was the Kiss Alive 2 album. It said Gene Simmons in this picture. When you were telling that story, I was like, oh my God, I got to say that. Because
So
literally,
horrifying, man.
he was like, and there's blood running down his face.
And the blue light on his
great.
white makeup. Like,
Sweat still?
No,
Gene.
you're good.
Gene, you mean. Sorry,
Gene.
my bad. I can feel it. It's a 10%er.
Yeah.
Woo. Blame it on the WWE's
Whatever it is.
asterisk flavored juice.
Elbow juice.
But yeah, Kiss was my first introduction to rock music. And then we got AC/DC and it just, yeah. But Kiss is, to this day, in my mid, you can edit this out and put a different word in there. In my mid
Bowel movement.
Kiss is still one of my top 2 favorite bands of all time.
Yeah.
The other one being REO Speedwagon. Don't judge me.
Well,
sorry.
You talked about...
Don't judge me.
Don't
judge me.
I ain't judging it.
Fantastic.
Do you see how I'm dressed? How am I judging anybody?
Who am I judging over here?
But you mentioned first introduction to music, and it made me think of when I was a kid. My dad was a fireman. He was chief of the fire department. And he had this, he also did construction. So he had like this pickup truck that had his name in flames down the side. And when he'd leave for a fire, he'd haul ass, squeals tires down the road. And I'd always pull the kitchen chair up to the window, the front door window, and I'd get on it and I'd watch him go. Like he was like my hero,
Right.
So then around this time, about, I don't know, it's probably 4 or 5, Michael Jackson's Thriller came out. And I started taking that chair and put it in the middle of the kitchen and get on it. And I would like lip sync to Thriller. If I knew any of the words, I'd just be like, trying to dance.
Right.
Like Michael Jackson. I thought Michael Jackson was the coolest thing in the world.
Did you do the dance?
I don't even think I had MTV. We didn't have cable until I was like 10.
Gotcha.
So I didn't even know what the dance was. I probably, if I saw the video, it was like through a VHS tape that my brother might have had. But I thought he was cool. Like, he was all over the radio. We only had like 93Q back then that I can remember.
I don't think 93 was around back then.
I think so. Or maybe it's Y94.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Fact check
back
that.
then,
Nick, we're going to get you a laptop
So
over
hold
there,
on,
buddy.
hold on.
When did
Y94 wasn't around back then? It was called 94 Rock.
Really?
Yep. I'm older than you,
Do
fella.
that pop again. That
I'm
was-
older than you, kiddo.
You
Yep.
sure? 1985.
What year?
85.
19. Yes. It was 94 Rock. It was called.
Regardless.
Go on.
One of those stations.
Yes.
But yeah, that was my real first introduction to music because it was all over the radio. It was like the biggest thing going at that time.
Yeah.
And
still one of the, I think, maybe the best-selling album of all time still.
Yeah. It was that, and We Built This City.
Get on that. What?
We built this city.
By Starship?
We built this city on rock and roll.
We did.
We built this city.
I don't remember. Is that why my back hurts so much? Damn it. And now they're tearing it all down and putting a new highway in. All that work for nothing.
Got all this construction on 81.
Son of a...
Yeah.
So yeah, I like how you came full circle with that. You started with Kiss and you went back to Michael Jackson. That's good.
Yeah, that's.
I started right there with Charlie Pride and moved up to Kiss.
Yeah, you did it in the right order. I just
That's okay.
half-assed it back to
That's
it.
good.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah.
I think we did a lot here. I think
I
we've
like the
accomplished
suit.
a lot.
We did.
Thank you.
We're not
the
done.
answer's still no.
Oh, no, we're not done. The answer's still no. Damn it. I keep trying. Story of my life. So our first introduction to my longest, I will say, and I've always said this, my longest love affair in my entire existence, professional wrestling.
Yep.
I remember walking into our living room. For those who are local that are watching this, which hopefully is very few because the masses around the world, probably just our friends. But we lived on First North Street in the city of Syracuse, New York. And I walked into the living room and my dad was watching Championship Wrestling, WWF. And it was Bruno Sammartino against Larry Zbyszko.
Nice.
And it was the student against the Mentor. And it was a scientific match, and they're going through, and Larry would do a move, and then Bruno would counter it. And Bruno would just one-up him every time. And then there was a point in the match where they're tied up, and they're hip toss, reverse hip toss, and Bruno got, like, thrown out of the ring.
Okay.
So Bruno gets up, and of course, Vince McMahon's on the call. Oh my God, Bruno Sammartino! back when he wanted to be so bad, Howard Cosell. Yeah. Back in the day. So Bruno Sammartino outside the ring. So and I think it might have happened a couple times early in the match where maybe Larry went out and Bruno sat on the ropes and held the ropes open for him to get back in as a gesture of sportsmanship. So Bruno went out. Bruno's getting back in, and Larry holds the ropes open. Bruno's coming back in, and Larry waffles him.
Heel.
He totally waffles him, starts putting the boots to him, goes outside the ring, and gets not a steel chair, a wooden chair, and brings it in and nails him over the head. And Bruno's like freaking... Oh, sorry. Bruno got hurt and his head got split open by the wooden chair.
Well, I mean, if it's a wooden chair.
Right. And he's bleeding all over. And it was the hugest angle at the time that Larry turned on his mentor.
Well, here's something you may or may not have noticed last night on Raw. But every time they had a general manager's office skit backstage.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they have it.
They had the
Shea
poster,
Stadium one. I saw it
of Bruno versus Larry Zbyszko
the
behind
Larry
him.
and Bruno Shea Stadium match. I saw it last night, and I'm like, that's funny because I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow. And I remember turning to my dad and saying, why did he do that to his friend? And it's Nick's grandfather. He can tell you. My dad's like, oh, goddamn ref. I don't know why he's... My dad's wicked. He knows, but he doesn't want to know. So he's like totally like...
Suspends disbelief.
Yeah. He's like, I don't know. He's an asshole. But that's when in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. I love this.
Yeah.
And I fell in love from that day forward. Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko. Years later, I met them at a convention. They were both there at separate tables, and there might still be like later on, there was not like real, not like storyline heat between the two, because Larry down the line started calling himself the living legend.
And that was
Bruno's thing forever.
Yeah.
But I asked, can I get a picture with the two of you together? And I actually did. I actually talked him, and I'll do it if he does it.
Oh.
And that happened one other time with two other people I can tell down the line too. But yeah, they both got in the picture, and I got a picture with Bruno and Larry together.
That's amazing.
I think I told them the story. You guys were the very first wrestling match I actually feel like I'm getting choked up right now telling this.
I'm getting choked up hearing it.
I told them, you guys are the first wrestling match I ever watched. And I think that's why they did the picture with me.
And you know what?
It was amazing.
You could have been the reason they might have gone out that night. Maybe put their differences aside for one evening.
Pulled up two wooden chairs, sat down on them.
Had a beer. Just talked about the old days, you know?
It's all my doing.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Man. That's pretty incredible.
It's amazing. From then, I got turned on to Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Ooh. How did you watch that?
It was on the Superstation 17. I don't think it was called WTBS back then. Maybe it was, but they might have been the call letters, but I don't know if they called it that. It was Superstation 17.
Okay.
And it came through on cable. We finally had cable. Mm-hmm. And the cable box that not the remote, not the wireless that we're all like spoiled to. It was literally the cable box that had the cord running to the box that's under the thing, and you had the I don't know if you ever know what I'm talking about. It was the Gerald box, and it had the 3 rows. You flick the switch and you push the button down to change the channels.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle.
It was that deal.
Yeah, my uncle
it was
Jim
that deal
had
right there. And we were watching it, and it would be on every Saturday at 6:05. And my first favorite wrestler on Georgia Championship Wrestling, And here's another story that I'm probably going to get teared up on. Don't worry, it's good for the podcast. My first favorite wrestler, Nick already knows what's coming out of my mouth. Tommy Wildfire Rich.
Tommy Rich.
Now, before he was FBI Tommy Rich, or before he was, he was the hottest, probably one of the hottest baby faces, good guys in wrestling.
Oh, yeah. His matches with Flair are legendary.
Yeah. And he wasn't a great wrestler, but he was... Wait a minute. Tommy Rich was the Jey Uso of his time.
I wouldn't say that.
I would. He was,
Tommy Rich could do Broadways.
he was, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was just my favorite. And I remember one time, specific time, where he was gone for a while. He got beat up and he left. And back before the internet and before everybody was in the know about everything, which was way better, by the way, he actually left Georgia, went to Memphis to be a heel. Was a heel there for a while. And then there was a match with the Freebirds, and they were beating up Steve-O and whatever. And they were pile driving a dude on the ground, and they were just about to do it again. And Tommy Rich returned to Georgia, and he came out. I remember screaming and spazzing out, and my mom and dad yelling at me, "Quiet down, calm down." I'm like, "Oh my God." And just like, I was the greatest thing ever. And it was my favorite wrestler came back. Because I was like, where the hell is he? I didn't say where the...
Right.
Where the heck is he?
But sad that he was
Sugar,
gone.
where is he?
Oh, shucks.
So he finally came back. So anyways, he was my favorite. He was my first favorite wrestler. Now, fast forward to last year, 2024, Friday before WrestleMania weekend at WrestleCon. Tommy Rich is there.
Oh.
We're walking around. We get there. We're walking around, and I'm like, I see him. He's down the end of the aisle over on the left. I'm like, oh. And I could feel like, first of all, I could feel like the excitement, and I could feel my up here getting all welled up. I'm like, whoa. So I'm waiting. There's a dude up there, one person in front of me. I'm 53 years old at the time, and I'm sitting there trying to hold back tears.
Do you feel like that feeling comes on more as you gotten older?
Absolutely.
Me too.
I've always been a very emotional person, but
Yep.
I'm a big baby a lot about stuff, especially with my kids and my family.
Yeah.
But then I'm waiting there, and finally the guy walks away. He goes, "How you doing?" I'm like, I lost it. I started crying. I'm like,
It's still real to me, damn it.
It's still real to me. But I was literally like, you were my first favorite wrestler ever. And I explained to him the situation. I'm like, I know I'm a big baby and I'm a grown adult. And I go, but man, this is an honor. I told him, I said, I've gotten, from back in the Georgia days, I've gotten pictures with Harley, Dusty, Mass Superstar, Gordon Soley twice, Mr. Wrestling #2, Austin Idol, all the top stars of the time that I watched Georgia wrestling. The one person that eluded me the whole time was Tommy Wildfire Rich. And I told him about it, and he couldn't have been nicer and more gracious. And he's like, all right, so let's go. And I kept like, thank you so much. He goes, no, let's do another one. And he kept doing different poses. And he was like, wait, one more. And then he does the FBI, the FBI one. I'm like, it was amazing. That's where you insert the picture, by the way.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it was amazing. And I walked away going, we can leave. I'm done.
I'm good.
I'm
I'm
done.
good to go.
I'm done for the day. Here we go. We can not
You were,
leave.
you
not
were
leave
talking
the-
to God when you said that. Like,
not leave
all
the
right,
convention.
I
We
guess
can
I'm
go
all right.
home now. We can drive home now. Yeah,
That's
it was
sick.
amazing. I finally, you know what I told him? I said, I'm at blah, blah, blah. I go, and finally I'm meeting you. Tommy, on this weekend here, I'm finishing the story. I totally told him that. It was awesome.
That's
Yeah,
great.
it was
man.
great. Yeah. How do you know about wrestling? What do you know about wrestling?
Well, we talked about this a bit last week, but the more I was thinking about it, like I can remember just watching, going over to Bruce's house. He was my neighbor. They had a big satellite dish.
Bruce Kulick.
Bruce Kulick.
Right.
And by satellite dish, I mean like the size of this room. You know, back then. They
Dude,
released-
They were so huge back then.
Yeah, his dad would move it with like a pipe wrench and
Yeah.
3 other guys.
Yeah. I got the guys coming over. Why? We got to move the satellite an inch.
Because HBO's on.
It's
we gotta
HBO's
watch
fuzzy.
HBO. Some of the boys are coming over to move the satellite. Gotta have
Need the whole crew.
gotta be. Yeah. Like, Wanda the fish is on, or like.
Wanda the fish.
Anyway, so but every once in a while, I'd spend the night at his house. Like any chance we got, we'd spend the night at each other's house. And his dad always watched wrestling, so it was I know we had those beta tapes that his dad had from like WrestleMania 1. I think he had 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. But we also, I remember watching the Saturday night's main event. I can remember watching Hogan and Andre on Piper's Pit.
When he ripped his necklace?
Yeah, when
he ripped his shirt and cut him with the necklace?
Scratched him, yeah, or whatever.
You're bleeding. Yeah. You're bleeding, man. You're bleeding. Piper.
Yeah.
You're bleeding, man.
All of a sudden, Piper was a face.
Yeah, I know. Why are you so concerned about me, brother?
I can remember watching that, and I can remember seeing pretty much every Saturday night's main event leading up to WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, like all of those. And then like for us, we didn't have because I didn't have cable, like we had to rely on VHS tapes, rentals,
Yep.
So it was like, you just went to the wrestling section, and every time something new came out, like you were lucky if you got it,
And dude, those Coliseum home videos had some great matches on them that you never saw on TV.
Yeah. A lot of like the Madison Square Garden stuff.
When Brett beat Flair in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, I remember. That was on a Coliseum home video. They never showed that on TV.
Right. Yeah. The first show I actually went to, my brother surprised me for my birthday. You know what? No, he didn't surprise. I'm trying to figure out how I got this. It was. He surprised me for my birthday, and we got, I think, 4th row.
Nice.
But we were like on the same side of the cameras. We weren't on,
right.
We were on the opposite. But it was a wrestling challenge taping in Syracuse at the War Memorial, 1990, November 20th.
Awesome.
Hogan versus Earthquake in a stretcher match, which they put on a Coliseum home video thereafter, but they didn't call it a stretcher match. They just made it out like it was a regular match. And like that they brought out a stretcher, which is very weird.
That's very weird.
Isn't it? And they also call it a house show, but clearly it's a wrestling challenge taping.
Right.
But if you look it up on YouTube,
was it a dark match?
It was the main event.
Right?
There's the main event, and they also had Rick Rude versus Ultimate Warrior. It was basically a SummerSlam throwback. They just did all the SummerSlam stuff. Except they had Demolition versus LOD, but Demolition wore masks, and it was Crush and Smash, I remember. But
they wore masks through the whole match?
Yeah. Like they wore like actual...
Like the leather ones?
They
wore?
Yeah. But they weren't the ones they wore to the ring. They were just like...
Kind of like S&M masks. I remember that brief time they did that.
It was very odd.
Early days.
Very cool, though. But that was the first time I saw Bret Hart live. And
nice.
I remembered him at WrestleMania 6, how cool it was that they beat the Bolsheviks in like 6 seconds or something,
Right.
And I was just like, oh, that dude's cool. But then you see him live and like you can hear him in the ring, like audibly, him like doing his thing and go, fuck yeah. And I was like, did he just say the F word?
Right.
He said the F word. Like, oh my God.
Oh, he's cooler now.
That's awesome now. Yeah. As a 10-year-old kid, you're like, oh, you can't say that. That's cool.
Yep.
But yeah, he was my absolute favorite from that day on. I was like, these guys are the best. Like Heart Foundation was the best to me. And that was the start for my, I think like way back, like in those mid 80s, like when Hogan first came in and WrestleMania 1 and the WrestleMania 2 and 3, those were, it was kind of touch and go. Anytime I went to Bruce's house, we'd always ask his dad if I spent the night, can we watch wrestling?
Nice.
And he'd put a tape in, and it would be, either a Saturday night's main event that he recorded, or it would be, one of the WrestleManias or other Coliseum home videos that he had. And then my brother started buying me every chance he got. He would find the old ones.
That's
like
awesome.
I had the Heart Foundation one, I had the Demolition one.
Perfect. Like the best of them.
Yeah. But they were like from like back when Jimmy Hart was with them and whatnot.
That's awesome. Nasty Nick, what about you? Hold on. What was your first introduction to pro wrestling. As my son, I probably already... Hold on. I think there's a fly in here. Let me swat him away.
I
Yeah.
can't see it.
You can't see the fly?
No, I can't see it.
How about now?
I still can't see it.
No? Oh. Anyways.
So I don't think my first memories of wrestling are actually of wrestling. I think it's more so of the wrestling video games.
Oh.
I feel like those are probably what I remembered first. Just what I have the most vivid memories of with the SmackDown versus Raws and all that.
So good.
Classic. One of the earliest memories I can remember of actually watching wrestling, I remember it was in 2007. It was when they had the vignettes with like the weird numbers and stuff showing up for weeks. It was when Chris Jericho was coming back.
Okay.
When he cut his hair and all that.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching that when he came
That's how
back.
young. That's how young he is. It's not even the first time. It's after.
Yep, it's long
Because the
after.
first time was '99, and you were born after that.
I that's one of my first memories of wrestling I can remember. Just a lot of it's hazy. I remember specific things. I remember a few years after that when I don't know why this one always stuck with me when Batista was in the wheelchair and he did the "I quit."
Yeah.
I remember thinking that was so funny.
I thought it was so awesome. Last week when now Nick's at his house, I'm in my house, and we're watching Raw, and he sends me a text message and says, I can't remember, it said something to the effect of, totally getting emotional right now with Cena and Cena and Orton in the ring.
I was like, I feel like I'm 8 years old.
Yeah, I feel like I'm 8 years old again because that was his intro right there.
That was my
That was the big thing going on when he started watching.
That was my Rockin' Austin. That was my
Yep.
What were the comparisons? Hogan Andre.
Yeah.
That was my like legendary feud of my era was Cena and Orton. Looking back now, I know their matches were never really.
Yeah, but it was magical to you.
But yeah,
like I said,
that's-
Tommy Rich was not a top-notch wrestler, but he was my favorite to the end.
Well, you see that proves the point though. It's not always about
Nope.
being the greatest wrestler. It's about making the most memories.
Right. Look at
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
people that like Jey Uso.
Like Hogan, like you said, Hogan Andre. You said last week, like not the greatest match.
No, not at all. But one of the most iconic matches in the history of not even WWE, in the history of wrestling.
Yeah, yeah.
All time. What about music, buddy?
When it comes to music,
Did you ever hear any of the Beatles stuff at all?
yes.
I know all the answers to these questions, by the way.
Very much a lot. Yeah.
How did you learn them, Nick?
Oh, I wonder. He may just be looking at me right now with a very smug expression on his face.
Yeah, but how did you actually hear the music?
Well, I remember we had the Beatles Rock Band video game on the Nintendo
Remember that?
Wii.
Yeah, yeah.
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
I like how you said the Nintendo Wii. What do you work for them or something?
Not sponsored.
See the screen for 10% discount code.
And buy Seagrams.
Actually, no.
You're better off not.
Yeah. But Beatles. My earliest memories of music are when Aunt Shelley used to babysit us, and I remember when she was. I don't even remember what it was on. I think it was just on the radio or something when I heard a 3 Days Grace song for the first time.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
And that just got me. I was super into 3 Days Grace and Daughtry. I remember were the two artists that really
Awesome.
just caught my attention for whatever reason. And 3 Days Grace, still my favorite band of all time now today, 20 whatever years later.
Absolutely.
Nice.
But
He's got
And- and-
three days
and I-
Grace hat, shirts, all of them.
I got to meet the
badass.
singer last year.
Yep.
Got VIP tickets, meet and greet. That was
Absolutely.
pretty sick.
Did you get like choked up a little bit?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I was trying not to be like too weird about it.
Yeah.
Did you tell him, I'm finishing the story? And he's like, what story? You're like, never mind, it doesn't apply here.
No, yeah, that was pretty great.
Music and wrestling are similar in the fact that they're both powerful.
Yeah.
They're both
Music
They're
is-
both artistic mediums that they bring people together.
They tell
They
stories.
bring people together, they tell stories, and they can get you for better or for worse. They can get you so emotional. Music for me, music can take me on a roller coaster.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I could be happy. Sometimes, raise your hand if you ever listen to music that you know is going to make you sad or make you cry on purpose. I think everybody does that.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been times that I've driven to the cemetery and parked out across from the row where my mom is buried. And I'll just sit there and play songs that we used to listen to on our way to Fairhaven Beach. Not even songs that not even a song that relates, not the words of the song that relates or anything, but just knowing that when I hear that song, it takes me back to a memory of driving to Fairhaven Beach a couple times a month, driving out there with the family, whatever the hell we were driving, and listen to those Conway Twitty songs, you know? There's certain songs that remind me of my kids. There's a song by Brad Paisley called He Didn't Have to Be. It reminds me of my dad. The first verse of that song is like my life when I was 5 years old. There's a song by Kenny Chesney called There Goes My Life. And it reminds that ties me in with my oldest and my firstborn, Taylor. When Nick and his mom, let me start that over. When myself and Nick's mom were when she was pregnant for Nick, it was a planned birth. It was a C-section, so it was scheduled. And we were going out, and we were going out to the car. She got her bag all packed. We go out. We get in the car. Turn on the car. And With Arms Wide Open by Creed. I'm not even making this up. That's on the radio. And I just looked at her, and she looked at me. I'm like, holy shit. Fast forward to last year, I saw Creed at Darien Lake, and that song came on. I'm crying like a fucking baby. Because I'm watching them live do it, and everybody else is like, woo, and I'm just like, whoa. I just lost it, because that just reminded me of that moment when I had 2 girls, and my youngest is my boy, and I love my girls. I'd do anything for them. I'd take a bullet for them right now. But I finally got my son. And those girls are super excited about it because they didn't have to like wrestling anymore. Yeah. So music is probably one of the most powerful things in my life.
Yeah, it is. It's for me, and then it's gonna sound cliche, but like if you take a look around, behind Billy here, there's a lot of Minnesota Vikings stuff there, and I wasn't a big football guy. I was a wrestling guy, and my uncle was a big Vikings fan, and I also considered him to be my best friend. And on Christmas Day, I was going to stop and see him, and I still can see the exit to this day. Like, well, I could stop, here's my last chance, and I didn't take it. And we ended up losing him a couple days later. But long story short, went to my grandmother's house and dealt with all that. And then at the end of the night, you're kind of home, you're relaxing, trying to, I can't say relaxing, but trying to get all that out of your head and listening to the radio. I turn the radio on. What's the first song that plays? But Silent Lucidity from Queensryche. And to this day, if I ever hear that song when someone passes away, it's like the song that always has to fucking play, you know? And I'm like, why? Every time, and it's always on a station you never hear anything, oh, I got XM around, I'll turn on XM, and if something happens, and I'm just like, it's almost like you said, music speaks to you, but in the craziest ways, and it's like some songs just attach themselves to you, and
absolutely, certain songs will bring up specific moments in your life.
And that's so to bring it on a little less of a somber note. That's the perfect example of how wrestling and music are similar. With that is when they come together as well. Last weekend at WrestleMania is an example when they were airing that video package for Punk before like Living Color started playing, whatever. With his old theme song that he used to use years ago. And I'm sitting there getting choked up like a baby.
Yep.
Because that's just bringing me back to like when,
Yep. Where times were good.
Yeah.
Times were better. Yeah. Not so much responsibility in life, just like... And I love that they tied into his old speeches. Yeah. And then they'd float into him saying the same stuff nowadays. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's very awesome.
Whoever edited that package needs
they do the best. Nobody, so good. Nobody does videos better than WWE production.
Yeah.
Football, any sport, nothing.
Lately, they've just been off the charts.
Yeah.
Though.
They've been killer. And even going back, like Jim Ross might say different, but dude, that package that they did for, was it Austin Rock? Was it?
That different one you're thinking of. But
Triple H. It was Triple H, right?
Whatever the Creed song you're thinking of, right?
My Sacrifice.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember.
It was Austin and maybe Trips. Whoever it was, they did a video package to the song "My Sacrifice" by Creed.
I remember Jim Ross.
And dude, it was
that video or that audio clip of him like,
here's Creed for the 20,000th time.
Let me guess, they're gonna play Creed again.
Yeah, let me get my tissues out.
yeah. It's like, shut up, JR. I cry every time I hear it. Yeah, that's another one that I related to when I saw them play. They played that last at the Creed concert. And I was just like, and I had memories of that. I'm thinking of like, oh, it's Stone Cold. Stone Cold. So,
but it's like the with the Rock and Austin one with My Way by Limp Bizkit.
Oh yeah.
There's videos of people that'll go to like Limp Bizkit concerts now, and when they play that song, they'll have that video package pulled up on their phone while they're playing it.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
It's great.
It's great.
It's so good.
Yeah. So that explains why we are how we are. But that explains why we wanted to do a show called Slams and Jams. Slams for the wrestling, jams for the rock and roll. Because they tie in, like Nick said, they tie in so... They fit like a glove. Music and wrestling fit like a glove. They have very similarities, like they're emotional. You can relate to them. They can bring you up. They can bring you way down. And watching a wrestling match or a wrestling show is kind of like listening to an album from a band. Oh my God, what a killer opener. Oh my God, this is that song's sad. Oh my God, you hear it's like watching a wrestling card. Mm-hmm. We described WrestleMania last week.
Yeah.
We described the results. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We'll skip that song in the middle.
Yeah. Exactly.
In this case, the allegory is Tiffany and Charlotte.
Yeah, right. That's the B-side song that nobody wants to hear.
But yeah, music it plays important roles in our lives, whether
Absolutely.
you said like on a positive or negative level. But I think ultimately on more of a positive level because those connections you have, they connect to your heart, whether it's wrestling or music, whether it's a song or a match. There's always some connection to your heart that's always going to
absolutely
resonate with you.
And as a side note, it will totally tie into this podcast. Wrestling and music are how we became good friends.
It's very true.
2CW Wrestling.
Yes.
That's where I first met you.
Yes.
Come to find out, this sumbitch is a guitar player and a singer. We actually played in a band for a while together.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
we did. We even did a couple, or I think maybe at least one acoustic.
Yep.
Show.
Yep.
That was a fun story. It was a 2CW. What would they call it?
It was like a
variety.
It was like
show.
It was a variety show. It was like a little cafe.
And they had
something. Yeah. It was weird. Yeah.
Wrestlers doing, their bands played. They did comedy, magic, you name it. And Billy and I were
in Utica?
Yeah,
it was in Utica, right?
Yeah. We were the house band.
Because Trades, R.I.P.
Yes.
Jack Trades and his son Justin, I think, set it up.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun, actually.
The Tremonte Was that the place that it was?
Oh, I don't remember. It was very
Cafe?
small though. Yeah.
I know, yeah, I think, yeah. But yeah, we just said, hey, let's do something together.
Yeah,
And we did a little acoustic show, and people loved it. They're like, because I was the ring announcer for 2CW, and he was in the front row with a cowboy hat on as the 2CW's biggest fan. And then we got up there and did that. They're like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah, really? Oh yeah, we're in a band too.
Well, why is 2CW's biggest mark and the fat ring announcer singing songs together?
Yeah.
And it's good. I'm like, this is good. That was good times. Good times, my brother.
Absolutely.
Wrap it up. Dry our eyes. And my forehead.
And forehead.
And my forehead.
Wait, cry up. So
That's right. It's not sweat. It's tears. Oh, I'm good. We'll go another hour. I'm just kidding. We got a lot of stuff coming up in the weeks coming. We've been having behind the scenes meetings on different ideas. We're gonna involve some people. If y'all want to get involved, if you're watching the show, if you like it, get a hold of us. You know how to get a hold of us. If you know us, if we've expanded so far that you don't know us yet, get to know us. Hit the Facebook page, which is Slams and Jams. Is that what it is? Sure.
Is it Slams and Jams?
It is and because it wouldn't let me put a goddamn ampersand on there. So
that's ridiculous.
It's Slams and Jams. But check us out on there. Give us some ideas. Give us some suggestions. We got Mount Rushmore's coming up. We've got quizzes. We've got trivia. We've got all that good stuff. We're going to have people we're going to talk to. We're going to talk to our buddy Joe. We talked about it earlier. You may know Joe. Well, I'll save it.
Yeah, we're going to have
if
a lot
you're a
of
wrestling
fun.
fan and you're a rock fan, you know who Joe Altier is. So
For sure.
yeah. What he said. Well, let's save it. You all right?
Yeah. Oh, something in my throat.
Blackhead meds yet? No,
No,
we're
no,
good.
no.
No. Oh, ew.
Certainly not that.
Hold on. I'm gonna add this to my. my list. Watermelon for you, pickles, and now for me this.
Is that watermelon on it, or is it?
It says
looks
watermelon.
Like a slice of pizza, like it's on top of the belt.
It is pizza. No, it's
Why is
I
it
think it's a diamond. But dude, it looks like pizza.
It
Wait a
looks
minute.
No.
Hold on. It's mashed potatoes. Violet, you're turning Violet. Bombshell, you're turning. Never mind. Anyways, we're done babbling. Slams and Jams. See you next time.